Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Windows emulation on Android with not Winnow, but Winlator. And we talked about Winlator CMOD in a previous video when one of the main developers is stepping away from the project. Well, it turns out that Winlator CMOD is going to continue on with development. So Coffin Colors here, one of the Winlator CMOD developers, commented on my video, and they say here, I have not stopped development of Winlator CMOD. It is not the end of CMOD, it's Coffin Colors mod, it's not dead. This is frustrating for me as his post makes it sound like it's dead. It is not dead. I have no plans to stop development. Now for reference here, when Coffin Colors says his post, he's referencing PissBlaster649, whose post started all of this. Now I would say this is one of the big benefits to having comments on videos. I mean, I ask for people's opinions. I ask for comments on things and thoughts, and I actually read the comments. And this is a prime example of great information in the comments section. Now, Coffin Colors provides even more information over here in a post on Reddit Winlator, and they say, I appreciate everything Pepetto Crypto PissBlaster has done for Winlator CMOD, but I have no intention of stopping development. Progress may be slower as far as the graphics API is concerned, but seeing all these CMOD is dead posts, I feel the need to clarify this. If I decide to stop working on my fork, I will post it myself. As it stands, that's not going to happen. The entire UI update from V13, new features, native controller support updates, audio updates, those are not stopping. I doubt I will ever decide to stop development. This is a fun project for me, and I will always be interested in improving it, fixing things, learning more along the way. And furthermore, they go on to say here, I started this project as an experiment to improve mouse support and USB storage. It's turned into so much more, and I am grateful to the Android community as a whole for keeping me busy. It's the criticism that drives progress. Why would I stop now? Just saying. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Winlator CMOD is not going anywhere, and it's in very good hands right now. And the entire community over on Reddit Winlator seems to be extremely happy about this. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about Windows emulation on Android, next up here we're talking about Gamehub. And Gamehub just released version 5.0, and there's a few things in here I think some people may be very excited about. The first item on the list in version 5.0, full Steam support, cloud saves, and online play without limits. Additionally, Gamehub has been fully optimized for Hollow Knight Silksong, controller experience redefined, immersive vibration, adaptive trigger feel, instant hot swap, a new native rendering mode, more stable frame rates, lower latency, and smoother gameplay. And taking a look at the comments on that post over on Reddit emulation on Android, and it seems that people are very excited about the cloud saves aspect. And I would say rightfully so. I think that's really huge for Gamehub. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Now on a quick side note, and without going on too much of a side quest here, I do find it very interesting that more and more games are not taking advantage of Android and that operating system and not launching on Android right away. I mean, Android, in my opinion, is highly accessible, very popular, and phones are getting more and more powerful. You'd think there's a huge market there that you could make a lot of money from. Anyways, without going on a side quest on that one, I will say I do find it extremely interesting that instead of that, we're seeing Android get closer to Windows. Let me know your thoughts on that one. And speaking about Android, next up we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with ArmSX2 or ArmSX2, or subscribe to Mr. Sujano, depending on how you wanted to pronounce that. Anyways, ArmSX2 has a bit of a PSA. So this information comes from the ArmSX2 Discord group, and they say here, it has come to my attention that there's a fake website pretending to be the ArmSX2 team. For clarity, ArmSX2 only has 4 official distribution channels. This Discord server, the Google Play Store when version 1.0 is released, xbdev.store for new testing builds soon, and armsx2.net once completed. They go on to say here, any other source is not official. The fake site is even using our logo and language like we, which is misleading. If you download an APK from anywhere outside of these 4 sources, I will not provide support and will ignore any issue reports or feature requests from you. which I can completely understand and agree with considering it wouldn't be an official APK. Now there's more stuff here. They go on to say, "This is really disappointing. I wanted this project to be built on trust. Unfortunately, I'll now need to add extra verification checks in both the APK and backend to ensure your app is genuine and untampered. If you know the website I'm referring to, if you're the one running it, I'm asking you to stop. Otherwise, ArmSX2 will introduce measures to block this behavior." So overall here, I'd say there's both bad and good in this message. The bad stuff obviously is that fake website, and unfortunately, this is not the first time we've seen something like that before. I mean, if you take a look, I believe it was Duckstation. AetherSX2 is another example, and there were even more fake websites out there trying to, I would say, dupe people into downloading malicious APKs. So I don't want to say that this is par for the course, but this is not the first time we've seen something like that, which is super unfortunate. Taking a look at the good stuff, though, one might be this extra verification stuff if people were wondering whether or not the APK was genuine or not. That could be a good thing, could also be a bad thing depending on how you look at it. And the other good stuff here, I would say that it is coming to the Google Play Store, and that I would say is very exciting. Now, if you are interested in this and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links will be within the GitHub link in the description below. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about emulation and ROMs and all of that stuff, next up here we're talking about ROMM or ROMM or possibly something else. I can't quite put my finger on it. Anyways here, for those who may be unaware, ROMM is a beautiful, powerful, self-hosted ROM manager, and it just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 4.2.0 is the latest update, and I would say this one's a pretty darn big update. They've introduced console mode. They say here, "Look Ma, I'm on TV." The new console interface is designed for big screens and easy navigation with a controller or remote. It features a grid layout, large icons, and a simplified menu structure to enhance your gaming experience from the comfort of your couch. Launch it from the navigation bar or navigate directly to /console. Let me know your thoughts about this one, but I mean, taking a look at the screenshots here, and I would say this one looks really, really good. They've also included now out-of-the-box PSP and DOS emulation. They say now PSP and DOS Play is supported out of the box. No custom reverse proxy settings or browser launch arguments required. Additionally here, there's global emulator.js configuration. So the configuration file now accepts a new emulator.js section that allows you to set custom per-core options and controls. And on top of that, there is still a lot more here, but the last thing I'll talk about here is the incremental retro achievement sync if you wanted the latest and greatest when it comes to retro achievements. There's minor changes here, there's bug fixes, there's even more. I mean, this is a huge update for ROMM or ROM. And speaking about updates, next up we're talking about PlayStation 1 emulation with Duckstation, and Duckstation just got a brand new update. Now it's worth noting that Duckstation is on a rolling release. It gets updated quite frequently and there is not necessarily a specific version number over here on GitHub. If we take a look, there's just commit after commit after commit that's been added, and it's a very active emulator. But taking a look, there are a bunch of things that have been added that improve gameplay and fix a bunch of bugs. I mean, for example here, for the GPU, they've added separate scaling and FMV scaling options. There's X input improvements. There's also a bunch of individual game improvements. For example, disabling widescreen on Alone in the Dark, the new Nightmare, which may have caused some alignment issues. Now, I don't know about you, but I would say Duckstation is a top tier PlayStation 1 emulator, and it continues to get even better. And on a quick side note, this is for Duckstation on Windows, Mac, and Linux. If we take a look, the latest Duckstation Android build was at the beginning of May. The last time it was updated on the Google Play Store was May 1st. And speaking about PlayStation 1 emulation, next up here we're talking about a brand new PS1 emulator called StarPSX. And StarPSX is a free and open source PS1 emulator written in Rust. This project is highly a work in progress and not suitable for playing games yet, but it did just start booting BIOS. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very curious to see where this one ends up, and in terms of emulation, my motto is the more the merrier. And speaking about relatively new emulators, next up we're talking about Sega Saturn emulation with Ymir. And Ymir just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Ymir version 0.1.8 is the latest update. And they say here, this release focuses heavily on bug fixes with a touch of quality of life features, debugging tools, and small but welcome improvements across the board. There are no major improvements or new features this time. However, included in this update are some compatibility improvements where there's some games that are now working or have had some major bugs fixed. Moving on, and we're talking about MiceWine, and for those who may be unaware, MiceWine is a project that aims to run Windows applications and games on Android smartphones, and MiceWine just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, MiceWine version 0.5.0 is the latest update, and this one's pretty interesting. They've converted the entire application to Java. They've improved X-input and D-input controllers. They've improved the file manager. They've implemented support for setting CPU affinity per process on the task manager, and even more. I'd say this is a pretty interesting update for MiceWine. They've even added an 18:9 aspect ratio, and this is the first release, I believe, since the beginning of July. And speaking about interesting stuff, next up we're talking about Nintendo, and this is the latest report about Nintendo. Nintendo now has a US patent on summoning characters and making them battle for you. This is up on VGC. I do recommend checking out the article. The new patent theoretically covers an action that is present in numerous non-Nintendo games. So go figure. So here's some more details on that patent. They say specifically the patent describes a situation where a console or other system is being used to run a video game from storage. The player controls a character in a virtual space. The player can perform an input command to make a sub-character appear, i.e. summon another character. If there's an enemy where the sub-character appears, the player can control a battle between the sub-character and the enemy. If there's no enemy where the sub-character appears, the sub-character will automatically move around, and the player can move the sub-character to a different location on the field, and if an enemy is there, they can control a battle between the sub-character and the enemy. Now, it's worth noting here, and probably pretty obvious, I'm not a lawyer and this is not legal advice, but I don't see this patent holding up. I think this patent could be easily broken or busted or whatever they call it, because this is very broad, and I think there are games out there that already do this stuff. Prior art, is that the right word for it? Anyway, here, let me know your thoughts on this one. It's just, it's wild to me. I'm not going to lie. I'm very surprised that this patent was granted in the first place, and I'm surprised it wasn't challenged, if that was even an option. I'm even thinking like a necromancer summoning undead. That falls under this category, and I guess that would be infringing on Nintendo's patent. If I'm not mistaken, the leading theory on this one seems to be that Nintendo filed this patent to combat Pocket Pair in the lawsuit. Could be wrong with that one. It's a very interesting patent overall, and one that I'm very curious to see what happens with moving forward and to see if the patent is busted. Next up, we're still talking about Nintendo, and this has got a lot of people talking, but it may be absolutely nothing. But it's being reported that Nintendo has recently requested new trademarks for Earthbound, Super Mario Galaxy, and Astral Chain. And Stealth says here, and I agree with Stealth, this is something Nintendo regularly does, and sometimes it hints at future announcements, and sometimes it doesn't. But I really hope it does. I mean, realistically here, I think Nintendo knows what they have on their hands. I mean, if there was another Earthbound or Super Mario Galaxy or Astral Chain announced, I don't think fans would be upset at that at all. I don't want to say that those games would be cash cows, but I think they would perform extremely well. Next up, we're talking about the Internet Archive and game preservation, and this is a very interesting tweet. It's a public tweet over on Twitter from Rohan Kar, and they say here, "We are now in the Internet Archive. Note that not all games have been uploaded, so it's a work in progress. Whenever you find a dead link, you can always check at Internet Archive to get the games in extract and play package." So taking a look over on the Internet Archive, and from my understanding, these games are no longer available to download, but they have seemed to be archived, and there are quite a few games in here, and I would say some previously heavy-hitting games overall. Very interesting. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm excited there's a list of stuff that is now discontinued and stuff I wasn't aware of. For example, Project Cars 3 over here on Steam is unavailable, and I didn't even know that this game was taken down considering it was released in 2020, and I would argue is still fairly new. Well, 5 years to me is still pretty new. Now, it is worth pointing out here, I am not condoning piracy, and I do not condone piracy. I'm simply reporting the news, and news of information that's already freely available in the public domain, and arguably already very popular. I mean, this tweet alone already has over 250,000 views. And taking a look over on the Internet Archive, I do not condone downloading any of the links from the Internet Archive. I don't condone downloading anything here. Taking a look at the information I believe is absolutely fine, and learning about it I believe is absolutely fine. But acting on it and downloading these games is not fine. I do not condone that. And speaking about learning about stuff, next up we're talking about the upcoming Kickstarter for the Vectrex Mini. And if you're interested in this one, it does appear there's going to be a white limited edition that starts at $250. And the standard version is $115, at least starting. Now, we've talked about the upcoming Vectrex Mini previously, and I'm very curious to see how this Kickstarter does. The Kickstarter launches on November 3rd, and I would say the white edition looks very cool overall. I don't ever remember ever seeing even a modded Vectrex is white. I've always just seen the black one. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about Kickstarters and crowdfunding and that stuff, next up we're talking about the Gamehub, which is an open source FPGA retro emulation handheld. And Gamehub has appeared up over on CrowdSupply. Now, if I'm not mistaken, people like TechDweeb and Retro Game Core and others have already done reviews on early units of the Gamehub. And there are full details up on the CrowdSupply website, as well as some purchasing options. So it appears there will be a clear one priced at $250, a purple one priced at $299, so $300, and also a dock priced at $60. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.